This young woman he thinks is his perfect match, and so he's almost all but consumed by getting a date with her. His friend, on the other hand, is kind of this quirky, offbeat character played by Andrew McCarthy, who just wants to party pretty much. He's not all that interested. He likes women, but he's not all that interested in getting a date, so to speak. He might have one night stands with women and then move on to the next one. Jonathan Silverman's character is pretty much looking for his dream girl, and he thinks he has found her when he sees Gwen, the summer intern. So you have this basic setup of these two guys trying to come up with a way to get their boss to listen to them. And they think they have found it when they find an error in some of the financial records at the office. What they don't know is that error was on purpose, and that their boss, Bernie, is stealing money from the company. When they bring this error to his attention, it brings up a red flag automatically, and he's thinking, well, I have to get rid of these guys because they're going to expose me. So he knows some, I guess you would call them mob people, and he wants to set up a hit on the two young guys. And what happens ultimately is Bernie winds up being on the receiving end of the hit because he is having an affair with the main mob guy's wife. And so Bernie ends up dying at the hands of a hitman. Meanwhile, before all this has happened, he had invited the two gentlemen to his beach house with the intention of having them killed. Well, of course, when they get to the beach house, they think they're going to party, and they're looking for Bernie, and they find him. Of course, he's dead. But the next part of the movie concerns them trying to convince everyone that Bernie is still alive, and that part is the humorous part of them constantly having to staple his toupee back on his head, making him look like he's alive to people. Of course, the premise of the movie is just completely unbelievable. You know no one will be able to do these things. But that's just the fun part of the movie, is seeing to what lengths these two guys will go to prevent anyone from finding out that Bernie is dead. So, again, that's Weekend at Bernie's. Definitely try to pick this one up if you can. Okay, the next movie is The Burbs, starring Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher. And this is a movie I remember renting when I was a teenager. And I remember going to the video store and seeing this movie. I was like, oh, okay, this is a Tom Hanks movie that I haven't seen. I think I'll give it a try. And of course, I remember my brother complaining when we rented the movie that, oh, why couldn't you get something else? This just looks stupid. Okay. I said, well, give it a try. We'll give it a try. We'll watch a little bit of it, and if it's not good, we'll take it out. So we start watching it, and it was absolutely one of the most hilarious movies we had seen at that time. And it still holds a special place in my heart as far as comedy films go. Tom Hanks, of course, is fantastic. He began his career pretty much in comedic roles. So this was a perfect fit for him. He plays a husband and father in a suburb, a seemingly normal suburb. And he's on vacation from work, and you know how men are sometimes. They just don't know what to do with themselves. And so he, with his buddies, played one of them played by Bruce Dern. I can't recall the other gentleman's name right now, but they're always, you know, kind of spying on the neighbors. They have some rather odd neighbors living just down the street, and the three gentlemen decide that there's something not quite right going on over at the neighbor's house. So they start, you know, going through the trash and spying on them, looking out the window with binoculars at midnight, and just all kinds of off-the-wall reactions to the neighbors. And of course, Tom Hanks's wife, played by Carrie Fisher, gets completely fed up with it and says that she is going to go out of town, take the son, and he is welcome to come along if he would like to. Of course, he's, you know, knee-deep in this theory that the Klopeks, which are their neighbors, are killing people and using the dead bodies for some kind of experiments, or they're devil worshippers or something to that effect. And so it just keeps going on and on and on, and escalates until it's just an all-out attack on the neighbors. But what a lot of people in the neighborhood don't realize is that there really is something weird going on with these people. And it kind of gets down to Tom Hanks and Bruce Dern and the other gentleman to figure out exactly what is going on, number one, and number two, how to stop the Klopeks from what they ultimately have in mind. The movie also has Corey Feldman in a small role, which I really love because he really fit this character, and I think it was perfect for him at the time that the movie was made. He's your typical late 80s, early 90s teenage character. He says things like, "Let's call the pizza dude," and "God, I love this street." That's the two lines I remember him saying quite often in the movie. But even though he wasn't in it a lot, he really fit in with the other characters well, and I think it added more of a comedic edge to the film. Okay, so that's The Burbs. The next film is Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. And I know a lot of drug humor in this, which I'm sorry, but I love drug humor in films. You know, I'm not someone that uses drugs, but I find the comedic elements that are added to films such as Up in Smoke to be hilarious. Cheech and Chong films pretty much concern these two characters, played by Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong, who are pretty much potheads. And they just go through life in this haze of pot smoke, and they want to have a band. In this particular film, they want to have a band, and they're going to this, I guess it's like a punk rock contest to see who's the best punk rock band. And they end up going through all kinds of hilarious escapades trying to get to this punk rock contest. There is a scene, I remember there's one scene where they're smoking this huge joint, and Cheech Marin's character starts to freak out, and so Tommy Chong's character gives him what he thinks are some downers or quaaludes or something, and it turns out he gives him a bunch of acid, a bunch of LSD, which makes Cheech Marin's character